Good afternoon. It's that time again where we're back highlighting another local business. And this is a very important interview today because this is a stressful time for a lot of people. Many people have lost their jobs, family struggles, being at home, stuck in a house, not being able to go to the beach, being able to go out during this crisis, the loss of a loved one. A lot of people are struggling right now. So I'm going to bring on Jeff Lichtenstein. Jeff, hey, give a wave. There's Jeff and his lovely wife, Veronica. Veronica, give a wave. There,
Hey,
there she
hi.
is. And Veronica is a licensed medical health counselor.
Licensed, she's a mental health counselor.
Mental health counselor, and she's the owner of Veronica Listens. So, Jeff, I'm going to let you just take it away and ask Veronica some questions here during this, crisis,
Yeah.
this COVID crisis that we're in right now.
Well, we are physical distancing, even though she's my wife today. Veronica,
The best way to get in touch with you?
that's the best way to get in touch with me on Zoom. Tell me what's going on though with your clients right now. Do you talk about COVID with them? Are they more stressed than usual?
Sure. It's very interesting because most of my clients, we don't talk about managing their stress during the COVID period. A lot of them I have standing appointments and they've been my clients for some time, and we've been working on issues for a while together. So most of them, we just deal with stuff that we've always been talking about. Some of them have experienced loss of jobs, loss of a family member or friend, and we do touch on that grief process. But we're not necessarily focusing in on COVID.
Are they better equipped in a lot of ways because they've been working on themselves with therapy?
I think so. I think therapy is a great way to connect with yourself, understand yourself better, work on your communication systems with your loved ones, with your colleagues. It's only a plus. So if you're in the practice of being introspective, I think a challenging time like this, you're already ahead of the game.
What, for people who haven't, went to a mental health therapist before, there used to be a lot of, stigmatism with it. There isn't so much today. But what is the right attitude to go in with, and what would it accomplish for some people?
I think that if you think it's time to see a therapist, you should keep in mind that it's a very personal choice. It's nice to get recommendations from people, but ultimately you're going to open up. It's a human thing. You're going to open up with someone that you trust, that you feel safe with. So recommendations are great, but you really have to be on board yourself to do it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What is your philosophy or style like? If someone came to you, what is your approach?
I let the person set the agenda. Our first couple of sessions, I always ask for general information first. We try to do it. I do it in conversation format, so I can find out some things about the history of them growing up. I want to hear how they've moved through life. A lot of my clients want to use their insurance. I'm on most of all the insurance panels. So it's very important that I understand their goals so that I can tell insurance how they are meeting their goals. So goals are very important, and the history of their life is important.
Do you give advice, or do you let them, kind of discover their own ways of their own answers?
I never tell my clients what to do. Never. I don't know if I give advice, but I certainly reflect on some decisions they're making and bring it back to them and say, does that fit in to really what you're trying to accomplish. So it never matters whether or not I like your boyfriend or I care for your wife. It only matters whether or not that relationship is working for you.
And what makes a good client?
Someone who's willing to talk about themselves. You know, in the therapy room, in my therapy room, I do more listening than talking. So, you know, I'm not going to ask you a lot of questions because I think it may lead you into a discussion that you may not want to be talking about. So it's someone who doesn't mind talking about themselves, someone who's probably a little introspective to start off with, someone who's ready to make some changes.
Is you know, for you do a lot with really all ages, but I know that you've done a lot with teens and kids and stuff. And you know, with families right now, everybody's living in in crazy close proximity, and everything is disrupted. How are kids and families, teens doing right now? And if they're having trouble, what bits of things have you seen that have worked?
I love teens. I really love teens. Teens right now, they're probably having more problems because of the social distancing. I do like to emphasize that social distancing doesn't mean social disconnection or isolation. I think as a whole, especially our culture, American culture, we're very social people. Teens are just trying to find themselves. And so it's important that they feel some kind of connection with their peers. As parents, if you're parents of a teen, if you haven't seen them all day, definitely check in with them, knock on their door. They're probably going to spend a lot of time to themselves, keep to themselves, which is what they would be doing if there was no quarantine going on anyway. That's a natural thing that teens do, but you always want to connect with them. So whether or not you have a ritual or tradition that you do together, whether it's like taking a walk regularly, making dinner together, some check-in point where you can just see how your child is doing. And as many activities that you can do together where you can really be together and be present, that's always beneficial. That's always a plus.
How does a family handle all the stress that's going on, especially on the parent, level?
Yes, I'm still having a lot of family sessions. We tweak communication. With couples, it's interesting because couples tend to fight about the same thing over and over again. So there are ways of hearing each other in a different way. So we tweak on the communication. I really stress trying to get in some kind of routine that kind of helps with it. Knowing the things that recharge you. I mean, if you're a musical, do something musical regularly. I do think, general things like being outside. I mean, most humans are low in vitamin D. So if you can get outside for at least 10 minutes a day, that can be a mood lifter. Moving around, within your limits. You're not, if you've never worked out before, you're not going to all of a sudden aspire to train for an Ironman. But moving is important. Maybe even taking up new activities that you've always wanted. I have one client that has discovered that he loves to paint. So trying to do as many recharging activities as you can, connecting with the people that you're living with, and getting outside, being active.
Our son Sam, made we had potatoes, and instead of they say turn lemons into lemonade, he made French fries, and it was amazing because that made the whole family structure that day. It was, I think, one of our favorite moments in here.
I love that he likes to cook. I'm trying to sway him into doing that much more often. That works for me.
Me too. What have you had any of your clients, whether it's a couple who's been struggling or a family who's been struggling, has anybody actually been going through has this been a beneficial period or learned beneficial strategies because of this?
You know, it's funny because I do have a couple of couples who were um, getting ready to file, and now they are forced to stay, under the same roof. And it's been a benefit as far as sharpening their co-parenting skills. So, which is, they're going to have their children forever, whether they're married or not. So it's been a benefit in that way. Um, I'm hearing a lot more positives than negatives
Really,
as far as being more
so
cohesive.
it's so
Yeah.
interesting. The has the what else was I going to ask you? How about people like who are in isolation where they don't feel united? Like it could be somebody who's living by themselves or an older person who can't see their family and they just feel isolated. What can they do, and what can their loved ones help to, or their friends help to do with people in that situation?
Well, as much as you can using media, Zooming, emailing, FaceTiming, texting, that's some form of connection. And, just doing things that recharge you. I keep going back to that. Things that make you feel good to help you work through those very tough moments. If it's the presence of people that you're craving and your family's far away, get outside and talk to a neighbor within 6 feet. Do what you can to connect to people. Some people have to push themselves harder to do that. But generally today, most people have an idea of how to use their smartphone. And like I said, social distancing does not mean social isolation.
We had somebody had sent in through Facebook a question of, and I know you are, but are you, question is, are you doing Zoom appointments? And, how are those different? And are there benefits and some things that you have to work on harder when you're doing a Zoom appointment?
I always prefer to see my client in person. It's different because I really can't read you, I can see your face, I can hear your voice, I can assess that way, but you're missing something when the person isn't in front of you. But we do the best we can with what we're given. And right now, it's not safe or healthy to be in the same space with someone for that length of time. It has it's sharpened some of my skills. I do think telehealth is here to stay. Insurance companies are approving it. In the past, it was very hard to get that approved. But once we go back to the way things were, I'm really going to emphasize coming in as much as possible. And I'm happy that I've gotten comfortable with doing this too.
I was going to ask you, there's stereotypes of somebody seeing a therapist.
Yes.
Why do those exist, and how should people, work through that?
I think the stereotypes are slowly changing. A lot of people who come see me, they like to liken me to a life coach. For some reason, that word feels better to them. Therapy is a very private thing. It's like religion. Whoever you pick to help you better yourself, that's a good thing. And you don't have to make an announcement to people. The stereotype is lifting. I think it's getting more and more acceptable to have someone to talk to about you. I think that's healthy.
I've seen people, just out there where it's been hard for them to, because they're so used to routine in a work mode, have trouble. Some of it is, we've had some of this too, where you've lost a friend, or you're used to going into an office, or you're used to being reactionary to different things. How do people get back into a work mode to feel good about themselves and feel some normalcy?
Small goals. You know, if you're used to accomplishing 10 things a day, maybe the goal set is 3 things. And if you overshoot that, well, then you're a hero, you're successful. Getting in some kind of routine is helpful in staying focused and feeling good. And then remembering those recharging activities that help you feel better.
How do you see grief? For us, I know, we lost a close friend, know some other people, Rob on here, had 2, family friends, and we don't have as much, it seems like we don't have as much time to grieve. Maybe later on, we can do some things later to do that, but where we can't go to a funeral right now, or it seems like everything's, the world's moving, fast. How can people deal with that in their own way?
One moment, one day at a time. However you're feeling is how you're feeling. You can't control your feelings. You can control your thoughts and your actions. So if one moment you're feeling really sad, and you're thinking of a sad moment about a loved one whom you've lost, allow yourself to do that. Maybe seek someone out that you can talk to about it to help you process it. But also watch out if you've been ruminating a lot of negative coulda, woulda, shoulda kind of thing, the bargaining part of grieving, or the denial part of grieving. If you've been ruminating a lot and those kind of movies are running in your head, be fair to yourself and take some time out a little later to think of some happy things to kind of balance that out. If you've been watching scary movies for 5 hours straight, you're going to be jumping when leaving the theater house. So you want to check in with your thoughts. Your feelings you can't control, but your thoughts you can. Your thoughts you can, and your thoughts will dictate your feelings.
Adam asks a question on Facebook. What do you think will be the long-term effects of this crisis on different family structures?
The long-term effects of this crisis. Well, I think that whatever you're doing to cement the foundation of your family, I think that will only be strengthened once this crisis is over. Do you think about it? If your family is strengthened during such a bad, horrific time right now, when things get a little bit more normalized, you can only get stronger. I think families are going to be closer. I think relationships overall are going to be better. Relationships with each other and relationships with ourselves.
Hey, Rob, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I guess it's just, Veronica kind of said it, I lost 2 close family friends. And, I spoke with my friend last night, and it was kind of refreshing because, as you talk to him, you remember the good times. You cry a little bit, and we said, crying's good. And then you laugh at the funny stories. So you remember the fun times and the funny things that happened. And I guess it just makes you feel better, even though it's a tough time. And I think the hardest part is, we talked about this, Jeff, is what happens when you can't go to a funeral right now because of the obvious reason why. So it's going to be a later, the experience, I guess, will be later, Veronica, that will be the ultimate grieving then. How do you space that out for so long, and then you're, not that you forget about it, but then you come back and now you're reminded of it again.
Just because you go to a funeral doesn't mean your grieving process will end. So, it's easy to look at that as closure. Okay. And it's helpful to be able to do that. But grieving, there's no time limit on grieving. And so I go back to one day at a time, checking in with yourself. Flexible thinking is going to help get you through it. Normally the procedure would be someone passes on, then you have the funeral and celebration of life, and then you would feel like you could move forward. So flexible thinking and doing things in a different order will be your best friend right now. It's difficult. It's difficult to deal with the loss of someone you care about. I'm sorry
Rob,
about.
Rob,
Well,
you did,
and I know
for your
Well, I was gonna
friend, you did that video montage of them.
So that was my good friend of my mom's and friend of the family. She passed away a few weeks ago, and of course, one of my best friends since I've been in preschool. His father passed away, and it was funny because I told him, send me all the pictures you have of your dad, and he said, I have 1,000. Do you want me to send 1,000? I said, sure, send all 1,000 or more. I can go through them, but I'm a video editor and videographer by trade. And it's nice to do it. I put all the pictures in and I start to edit it, and I tear up sometimes and remember certain things, but at the end, when the finished product comes out, it just makes me feel good.
Yes.
I guess that's my way of coping with different things, but
Absolutely. And I was thinking that too, like something that your strength is visual. You're a videographer, you edit. So definitely use whatever modality you would naturally do to feel good, or that you're naturally good at. And it's okay to feel sad. I think also that's a big thing too. I think people think that they're not improving if they feel negative emotions. I think you're stronger if you become comfortable with the range of emotions. So feeling sad is really part of the process. That's okay. That doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you unhealthy. If you're sad a year from now, when you think about your friend, that doesn't mean you're not healing. It's just part of it. It's you're a human being that cared about someone who passed on.
and what do you say to like the family themselves? Like they're the ones that, ultimately it's their father and their husband that passed away. What do you say to them to get through this time?
I think listening to them more, whatever they want to talk about. You can ask what you can do to help them, check in with them often. There's no magical words to say. Traditional thing is condolences. I'm so sorry. Maybe if you're moved to share a story, an inspiring story about their loved one, that would be something that would bring them happiness, or whatever you can do to connect with them, I think is the best thing you can do.
And then, but within their own family, they're sitting at home probably right now, I'm sure. What can they do as family members together to, I guess, grieve? And not that they'll ever get over it, like I said, but how can they keep their mental state positive, even
Open
in a tough
dialogue.
time?
Open dialogue. If mom wants to talk about it, being open and let her talk about it. Also having boundaries for yourself. I mean, I had a client earlier who's grieving, and she really isn't working hard to keep in touch with her mother-in-law, but it can be also hard for her too. So knowing where your limits are, but also being open to those who've lost the same loved one.
Very good.
Anything else that your clients said? Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
Say that again. Was that from here for Veronica, Jeff?
Yeah,
Sorry,
no. Rob, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No. You can go ahead.
Anything else, Veronica, that you're seeing that your clients are doing that are that you've seen that's been successful, or that you want to share? Not them personally, obviously, but any strategies that getting through different things right now.
They're trying new activities. There's some clients who are finally getting into yoga with relatives that live in another state. They tune in. They're doing that together. I have one client that discovered a podcast. He's has high auditory skills, and he likes to listen to that. They're trying new things.
I do have one other question. Sometimes you see it on social media or other ways, and sometimes the country sometimes can be farther apart with each other than it has been in other crises. How do you not get sucked into that wormhole?
Limit your check-ins with media, maybe once in the morning, and then that's a healthy limit. Don't go from network to network to network and confuse yourself. Go to a trustworthy source for you that works for you, and be scheduled about it.
I know, we had a family meeting when this is share something personal, when this whole thing started, and our kids were in the meeting, and they said to me, this is going back to March 16th, and both kids said, "Dad, please turn off the news," and I did, and that really has helped my mood and energy. And for me, I threw myself into work and doing. Probably why we're doing things like this right now. What can we do that I like to do and involve everyone in? And I like creativity and tech and innovation. And I think some like that type of thing helped. And I don't know what happens on the news till very late in the day.
Yeah, that helped me too when you turned it off.
I think the other thing that helped me, it's like little things. Like, I'm a huge White Sox fan, and I had a coronavirus birthday, and this came late the other day. It's a White Sox little, mug, but you get little gifts like that right now. They really mean, a lot. Little things that I think that we're all doing for each other.
And Veronica, is fresh air and sunlight, even if you just go sit on your back patio, and is that good just to take in the outside sometimes, right? Don't get out of the house, right?
Absolutely. At least 10 minutes a day. We all need that vitamin D. Absolutely. I had a couple of sessions outside this morning until it started a monsoon. So
it downpoured here. Did you get wet?
A little bit, but everything that could go wrong did. I was talking with a client, and then I saw a bird come flying over, and it rammed into one of our windows, and then it fell. It was just, but once again, reframing. I stayed focused on my client, but everything that could go wrong did go wrong then earlier this month.
It reminded me, though, that was like the whole thing. You're outside and things are going great and it's nice, and all of a sudden, just like a flash, everything changed immediately. And then she rebounded totally from it and had to change everything about it because life, goes on. And, she wanted to do this, outside, and then, went to her office and everything. So it's, to me, it was like a metaphor for just what happened with the whole virus thing, and it's a just.
Yeah, flexible thinking is really going to be a good friend to you during this time. The quicker you can adjust, the better you'll feel, the quicker you'll feel better. Feeling stuck is certainly a mindset. If you're feeling stuck, you're thinking stuck.
Are people, either, I don't know if it's with OCD or other groups or other people, are people with different mindsets having more trouble with this than others, or some that are having just in generalities?
Yeah, if you have like a certain rigidity to you and you have difficulty with flexible thinking, you may have a harder time adjusting. Um, if you have like space issues and you're suddenly confronted with your, you know, extended family that's living with you, that may be difficult too. There's many scenarios, but yeah, like, rigid thinking um, tends to get you stuck more, you know.
So it's an opportunity to work on those things.
That's right.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Me?
Yes.
No, I think we covered a lot. Thank you for talking to me.
We'll talk.
How
We'll
can
talk
people
some.
get in
We'll
touch with?
talk some more. We'll talk some more tonight.
How can people get in touch with you, Veronica, if maybe they're thinking they do need to speak with a therapist or a counselor or someone? How can they get in touch with you?
Sure, no, I appreciate that. 561-903-TALK. That's 561-903-8255. If you'd like to use your insurance, I'm a provider for most insurances, and my name should be on your list of people. So you can, Psychology Today, I'm listed there. And then you can also look me up on my website at veronicalistens.com.
One of the. Go ahead.
How would someone know, I guess, if they have to see you? That's a weird question, but what if they're sitting there and, well, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. How would they know? Is that a weird question to ask?
If you're feeling more so that you should, and sometimes it fluctuates, it doesn't hurt to try it. It's like going to the gym. It's not going to hurt you. If you think, well, maybe I can work out by myself at home, or maybe I'll try a gym. If you do like the week trial and you find that you like it, then you can continue. You can get a membership. If you don't like it, you've lost nothing. At least you tried it. It always helps to talk to someone outside of your circle that's, not biased, that can kind of help come in from a different perspective.
I think what's so good about Veronica is that just in terms of how she approaches therapy, she's really looking for it. It's for you to come up with. It's a reflection on yourself. If I'm saying it right, Veronica, it's what you're coming up with the answers. It's not. She's not giving advice to you. You're coming up with your own advice, and she's just a sounding board to help navigate you to where you need to be. And Veronica will also. She's not offended, or if she thinks somebody else is a better fit for you. She's a good quarterback in steering you into or giving you other names of other specialists or whoever that is. So that's just her passion of what she likes to, of what she loves to do.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Oh. Hello again.
There you go.
I was in session all morning, so my iPad's running out of juice.
Well, I guess that's a good time to end our session today.
Thanks, Veronica, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
And then at 2:00 today, we have Dr. Angela Vasilio.
3:00.
3:00 today, Dr. Angela Vasilio, that we wouldn't be in the past. She's with Palm Beach Medical, and they have drive-up antibody testing that they're doing. So that's really important stuff. So it'll be really interesting to learn, about that and how to do that.
She's going to talk about that and, the importance of why it's important to get that test. We've heard it all over the news and seen it all over about carriers and I forget the word, I'm drawing a blank here. If you're a carrier of COVID, but you show no symptoms, asymptomatic.
Yes.
So I think she's going to talk a little bit about, the importance of getting these tests. And if they're out there, who knows with the next few weeks, people going back to work, if things reopen, and proper testing is very important. So she's going to join us at 3:00 to talk about that. But
Yeah.
I think that's it. But Veronica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for
Jeff,
having me.
as always. And
Okay.
we'll see everyone today at 3 p.m. in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a good
I'll see
one.
I'll see you for dinner, Veronica.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye.
Okay.
See you later. Bye-bye.